Okay, hello YouTube, how's it going? My name's Lee, welcome to my channel, thedastardLeebatman, and this is actually going to be the first video, I believe, where I actually talk about some Batman stuff, because today I'm reviewing Batman Caped Crusader, the new show on Amazon Prime, from Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, and J.J. Abrams, and I will be right back to tell you guys what I thought of this show after I play this clip.
Down the house tonight. Chop, chop. Give me that. Taking too long. There. Okay, boys. Let's load it up.
Okay, so as I said earlier, Batman Caped Crusader is the new show from Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves, and it's on Amazon Prime for some reason, and it's not on Max. I don't really know why. I think Max they passed on it or something. I don't really get that. This seems like kind of perfect to be airing on Adult Swim the same way that My Adventures of Superman does. And it stars, and I'm gonna read just the main voice actors here, I feel like, and it stars Hamish Linklater as Batman, Jason Watkins as Alfred, Dietrich Bader as Harvey Dent, and it also stars Eric Morgan Stewart as Commissioner Gordon, and Crystal Joy Brown as Barbara Gordon. Of course, it has a whole slew of writers. They even brought in Greg Rucka worked on this. As you can see from that clip that I played, this has a lot of interesting takes. I feel like some people will vibe with some more than others. Me personally, I actually kind of liked all of that. The thing that I love about when they do this stuff with Batman is all the new interesting takes that the new team has on the stuff. And I feel like Bruce Timm and the team of writers and stuff really came up with a lot of really cool stuff. I really didn't know how I was going to feel about Penguin being a woman, but they really nailed it. I feel like they made her interesting and it's a new take on Penguin that we've never really seen before. And that can be said of a lot of stuff in this. This has a lot of really interesting takes, and it even has a lot of interesting takes on deep cut Rose Gallery people. I'm talking people like Gentleman Ghost and Onomatopoeia and stuff like that. All right, Onomatopoeia created by Kevin Smith, by the way. He's in this show. It's so cool. Going back to that voice cast that I mentioned, this voice cast is fantastic. Hamish Linklater as Batman is so good. It's to the point where I'm almost man, just make him live action Batman in that Brave and the Bold movie y'all are doing. I'm almost tempted to say that, to be real, because it would be so cool to see him come in and do his Bruce Wayne with his regular voice. He doesn't use his regular voice as Bruce Wayne in this show. But it would be so cool to see him use his regular voice as Bruce Wayne and do almost a Michael Keaton-ish kind of thing, where you see that guy and you're oh yeah, there's no way that dude is Batman at all. But then of course he suits up and it's oh, that's freaking Batman. That would actually be kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see what they do. With a future live action Batman that's in the DCU or whatever. That seems pretty far off, to be honest. But he's so good on this show. I really hope he keeps voicing Batman in other projects as well. His voice is so good, and honestly a good replacement for Kevin Conroy. Of course, no one can really replace Kevin Conroy. I believe Kevin Conroy was supposed to voice Batman for this show, I think. Speaking of people I'd love to see play these characters in live action, so Christina Ricci voices Catwoman in this show. She's so good at it, and it really made me wonder. I was why has she never played Catwoman before this, in a live action thing or whatever? But of course, there's only so many people who can play live action Catwoman. Also, Crystal Joy Brown as Barbara Gordon is really putting in a fantastic vocal performance. It's really everyone is absolutely crushing it. Dietrich Bader as Two-Face was great. I was a little worried when I saw he was cast as Two-Face. I was oh my god, I'm just going to be thinking of, speaking of Batman Brave and the Bold, the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon show, he voiced Batman. So I kept thinking to myself oh, he's going to be kind of comedic, but he's really, really good here. He's doing a really great, very nuanced performance as Harvey Dent. And this, of course, has a new interesting take on Harvey Dent, where he's he's Gotham's golden boy, sure, but he's a little more skeevy You know what I mean? Like there's just like a skeeviness to him. He's not a bad guy really, like his Harvey Dent at least. Just there's something like a little bit like you're like, I don't know, this guy's kind of like sleazy, you know? Yeah, so the voice acting is all phenomenal, top to bottom. And the way that they play off of each other is really well. As a matter of fact, the way that like Batman interacts with Alfred in this is so different from how he's interacted with Alfred really like ever before. He's like kind of an asshole to him. The rogues gallery in this, you know, every episode has like a different villain. They, you know, like I said, they do some deep cut villains. I think my favorite one, honestly, was probably the Clayface episode, but that's just because I'm really partial to Clayface. I'm really hoping he does end up in the Matt Reeves Batman sequel, because I would love to see Clayface brought into like more mainstream audiences, right? Because he's never gotten to be in like a live action movie, and I think that's a shame. And I honestly, you know, if they were to do Clayface, I kind of hope it's a little similar to what they did in this show, right? Where it's not so outlandish, but I think it would actually fit in really well with like the Robert Pattinson like Batman world that they have set up. You know what I mean? I think I don't want to see the first live action Clayface not have superpowers. You know what I mean? And just kind of be like a really good like chameleon or something like that. So yeah, this show is like really, really good. It's only 10 episodes and they're pretty short. They're like pretty much like the length of like what you would get from like Batman the Animated Series, but they're all paced very well. The pacing in the show is like immaculate. You never really feel like you're shortchanged with any episode. To be honest with you, it's funny when I was watching stuff, I always was like, God, I wish these episodes were a little bit longer, but each episode feels so satisfying that like I ended up just being like, yeah, you know what? I don't really care. Like this stuff is so good, and they're able to establish characters very quickly, as well as like build upon characters and stuff. And what's fun is because like, you know, especially if you're coming in from a background of watching Batman the Animated Series, you're kind of like, oh, I know how Bruce Timm is going to approach this, and then he like twists it a little bit. For example, like a character like Harvey Bullock in this, he's now like just a straight up dirty cop, and he is like a dirty cop. He's a real prick in this show. He is no longer a Batman ally, and I think that's really interesting. You know, it really adds some layers to this show that just makes it like stand out from other Batman interpretations. Speaking of which, the art style to this I think is pretty fantastic. I think the animation is like really good. It's not like perfect in my opinion. I really like the Batman the Animated Series look so much that like this did take a little bit of an adjustment to, but it's pretty close to it. And I love the opening credits. The opening credits to this is phenomenal. And the opening credits to this is so good it almost makes me wish the whole show was in black and white though, like that. And I also like really love the 1940s style to this. I think that's fantastic. It has like this real fun like detective noir aspect to it, and it really serves as almost like an antithesis to what they're doing animation wise with Superman right now, with the My Adventures with Superman on Adult Swim, and also airing on Max, where that's like a more like modern like anime-ish kind of take on Superman. This is like more taking it back to like the character's roots and doing like a darker like period piece, but also doing like, you know, different interpretations of characters, like what would Harley Quinn be like in the 1940s. They change her up a lot. She's no longer like Harley Quinn. She's Harleen Quinzel, but she's like her villain persona is entirely different. She's like the Jester, right? So I find all of that really, really fascinating, how they play with this different stuff, and the detective stuff really plays into this show. Like he actually like detects a lot of the time. He's actually like solving cases, trying to figure stuff out. That's one of the things I really loved about the Gentleman Ghost episode, is there's a lot of like detective work, and it's a lot of Batman going like, there ain't no way this is what's going on. Like, come on, there's gonna be like logical explanations for this. It's really fun. And it really challenges him in that way. So to kind of wrap up a little bit, I loved this. And one of the things that I loved the most about this is all the references to different Batman stuff. And there's like a lot of deep cut stuff, to the point where like I'm like, I want to rewatch a lot of this show. But one thing that I loved so freaking much, man, this is hilarious, but they reference the map that Batman uses is a reference to Batman 1966, the giant lighted lucite map of Gotham City. As soon as I saw it pop up, I was like, holy crap, because I love Batman 1966. I rewatched that. I put that show on the background a lot of times just for like background noise while I'm working and stuff like that. I adore that show so much. I have like the Blu-ray box set and everything. I think it's such a fun show to watch, and I loved the two animated movies they did with Adam West as well. Just really, really fantastic stuff. My mouse is dying here. Yeah, so there's like lots and lots of deep cuts to Batman stuff. Like I said, they have like deep cut rogues gallery, but they also have like just small references. I'm really not gonna like ruin a lot of the references here, and some of them I definitely missed, and I'm gonna have to either like rewatch the show, which I'm currently doing right now, or I'm going to have to like look up a YouTube video for some of the stuff that I missed. But this is like kind of perfect for Batman fans. If you love Batman, this is great. But also, like, if you don't love Batman, you'll probably love this. So one of the things that like I really love about this show is it just reminds me of like the reason why Batman has like stayed so popular and stayed so successful, and why I feel like, me personally, I never really get burnout on the character. They've been making Batman stuff regularly since like even before I was born, and my entire life has been kind of shaped by this character, obviously, as you can tell from my channel name. And one of the things is that they're always doing like new and interesting stuff with Batman, whether you like an interpretation or not. Every single interpretation they do, whether it's in live action or animation, and even in the comics, like they're not afraid to like play around with Batman. And I don't know if that's because the character is so popular that they feel like, oh, we can just do whatever we want with him. I'm not really sure why Batman gets a lot of that like leniency as far as like not having, to have like a particular like this is Batman take. It's all like kind of, they all just play around with like new and interesting stuff with Batman all the time. They're always like testing new stuff out, and I think that really is what keeps the character relevant and what keeps you from like having that like fatigue of the character. Like I have honestly been feeling the superhero fatigue pretty heavily lately, and especially with like the Marvel movies, the live action ones. Like when I wasn't like super hyped about this show, I think because of the superhero fatigue stuff. But looking at this and then looking at what they're doing with like that Penguin show, they just keep doing new stuff, and I hope that continues to be a thing with this character, because I think that really is what keeps him interesting. So anyway, guys, that's my review for Batman Caped Crusader. It's really more like my thoughts. I'm not going to give like a star rating because it's a TV show, but I highly recommend you watch this. If you have Amazon Prime, you just throw it on. It's honestly a quick watch. Me and my uncle really loved this show a lot too. We watched like the first 8. We stayed up late like watching and I shouldn't have done that because I had to get up at like 4 in the morning. I basically only got like 2 hours of sleep. But like we watched like the first 8 episodes the night they dropped, and then like I went to work for a little bit, and then as soon as I got back from work, we watched the last 2. I'm already like rewatching it, and even my my desktop background, I'll even show you guys, is art from the that they dropped from the show. Anyway, y'all, that's my thoughts on Batman Caped Crusader. Definitely need to watch it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like for more videos. I got to change some stuff up this week. Wednesday, I was going to have my review for Rebel Moon, Part 1 and Part 2. But I don't know when I'm going to have time to watch Part 2. I watched Part 1. I liked it a lot more than the, I can't say theatrical release, but I liked it a lot more. I'm excited to watch Part 2 soon. So that'll probably be dropped next week on Monday then. So Wednesday, I'll probably have a different video, maybe a gaming related video. And Friday, of course, I'll have my review for Cuckoo, which comes out this weekend. Starting on Friday. I also stream on Twitch. If you go over to twitch.tv/thedastardLeebatman, you can watch my streams of video games. I don't know if I'm gonna keep reviewing stuff on Twitch, to be honest, because of like copyright stuff and everything. I've gotten like a couple videos blocked just using like small clips on YouTube, so I'm like a little nervous about using those clips on Twitch. So maybe I'll just record the reviews separately. But anyway, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, that's all I got. Peace.